Hi everyone, my name is Heather and I'm the person behind Happy Puppy Truffles, and I'm also Audrey and Kate's mom if you guys know me from there. And one of the topics that some people had wanted to kind of know a little bit about was what people are like in Japan. If they're considerate and kind and, generous like we have an image for, or are they mean and evil people? And I think as a whole, they're really nice. There's that stereotype of them being very nice, and that is kind of true, but also not. In general, if you are a foreigner just lost in Tokyo and you ask somebody for help, they'll probably try to help you as much as they can. Especially older generation people for sure. Younger people might just look at you and be like, no, and they might run away. But there's certainly that image that they're kind of excited to have foreigners around, and they are excited to sort of show what they know about their country. And I would say definitely for older generations of people who are really excited about more people coming and visiting their country, that they're very open to taking the afternoon free to kind of show you around. You'll have a greater chance of finding people like that here than you would in another country maybe. But then on the flip side, everybody does not speak English here at all. So, you might be getting the lucky person who does kind of know a little bit of English, who is very excited to talk and to share. Generally, most people don't know English, and if they do, they're too shy to speak because they're afraid that you'll notice that they're not 100% perfect at it. So they'd rather just not talk at all. That's a tough thing here. But then the other thing too is that, people are kind of trained to be polite. That's part of the culture. If you go to somebody's house, you always bring a gift when you come for the first time. When you go on a vacation and everyone knows you're going, then you have to bring omiyage or souvenirs when you come back for everybody that you know, people that you work with, your neighbor, anyone who saw you leave on the plane. It's like ridiculous. And a lot of people don't like that thing that they have to do. They kind of get annoyed by it because it's like, enough already. How many stupid souvenirs do I have to buy for people that I don't even like? So you see more now younger people kind of going away from some of that a little bit, but it still is a really big part of culture here. And you could tell that just from any time you go anywhere when we used to travel places before the virus came. If you're in Japan and you travel anywhere, the entire event of being on the trip is totally centered around where are you going to buy your souvenirs, because you got to have them not for yourself but for all the people that you owe a gift to. So that's part of the culture here that isn't necessarily actually, oh, I feel this way and I like you and so I want to say thank you to you, so I'm going to give you a gift. That's usually not where it's coming from. It's usually, I have to because that's the way things are, and so I'm going to give you something. And that kind of goes through the way that we handle things like summer gifts in the summertime, and then the end of the year gifts too. Those are all very automatic without thinking much, oh, I gave him one last year, so I have to give him another one this year. We do that with gifts for weddings as well. If you give a gift for a wedding, you have to give something back. All the people who plan the wedding, that's part of what they plan when they're planning the wedding. What is the gift going to be to say thank you for the gift too? So lots of stuff that's part of culture for that. And so when you are a foreigner and you come across that, it comes across as being just so nice and wow, how so thoughtful and how kind and all sorts of things, which are true a little, but it's also a little hollow in its intentions, I think, because most people don't really care about who they're giving a gift to. So, that doesn't mean that somebody doesn't think a lot before buying somebody a present, but it definitely feels a little strange if you've been here for a while. Whereas when we go on a trip and I think I'm going to buy somebody a souvenir, I think a lot about what it is that I'm going to get, or I try to get something goofy because it'll be funny. And I certainly don't buy stuff for people that don't matter, And I know that's changed a little bit. Like there's a lot of that rule in schools in America now where if you have a birthday party, everybody has to be invited. And if you go on a trip and you bring back presents, then you have to bring them for everybody. That's sort of a new thing that's been popular in the States and is kind of getting closer to the thinking of what we do here with that forced gift giving. which isn't the best. But and lately here we've kind of slowly finally started to catch on to the whole people have food allergies, so don't give gifts. So that kind of has stopped people from doing that, so that's kind of nice. But so yeah, I think people in general are very polite in that sense, because they have manners. You know, they have been trained to have a manner kind of that is just sort of innate in what they do. But then people are also incredibly rude. We have very limited space here, so everybody's bubble of personal space is very small. And if you're used to being in the States and you live in a place like Colorado where we have so much room and so much open air, you would immediately feel very like claustrophobic because everyone is just right here the whole time. You definitely notice that when you get on a train and it's very crowded. Nobody cares about personal space at all. It's just literally packed in very tight. And, you know, so if you don't like that, you want to try to make sure that you travel at an off time so you don't have to put up with that. And then I mentioned, like, once during a live too, I have, you know, elderly people who are constantly, you know, pushing and actually literally poking me in the back, you know, when I'm in the line. And it's like, why are you in such a hurry to buy your eggs? You know, calm down a little bit. But that's just kind of something that happens with some elderly people here. They like to get pushy. So, but it can be surprising to me being from the States and being a good law-abiding citizen that I don't like it when I this has happened many times when I'm at the post office. I'll have been waiting for 10 or 15 minutes, and then a guy, an elderly gentleman who's easily over, you know, 75 or 80 or 90 years old probably, comes in and just doesn't care. He's just in his zone, and he's going to go to the front of the line and do his business, and he doesn't care that anybody else has been waiting. And the people working at the post office are like, can you please wait a second, you know, and you just like, oh, I need some stamps, you know. It's like, okay, fine. You know? I know people sometimes get into their own world in the States, but we have a pretty strict rule about you get in line and you stay in line. And if you get out of line and if you cut, that's like almost worse than killing somebody sometimes. No, I'm kidding. But people do freak out about that. They get maybe overly upset about it there. But, so if I've been busy and I've been waiting for a long time, I'll be like making eye contact with the person working there, like, oh no, you don't, you know, I am next, you know. And usually they're like, yeah, we got you, okay, it's good. And then they try to say, okay, now your turn, miss, and draw me forward so that I can go next and not have to worry about this guy. So that can be a little tricky to get used to, because you'll also see that too in the way people drive. Everybody here is a very defensive driver. We're all very aware. You never assume that anyone is going to follow the rules. You always assume to be careful. And because of that, there's not very many car accidents. But it also means you have to be ready if you come here as a driver and you're used to being in the States and being very offensive and always just, oh, it's my turn, I'm just going to go. No, even if it is your turn and you should be allowed to go, you have to make sure to slow down and look. And in the States, if you slow down, people are going to be running into you because why would you slow down? It's your turn to go. But in Japan, we do that. We slow down because you just make sure that everyone's cool with you going. Unless, obviously, if the light's, you know, green, then you go. But if you're turning and things like that, it's very common to make sure that everything is okay before you go. So that part has been something that's been kind of fun. But I know some people had asked a few questions about that, and those were just some fun things that I had remembered. But if you guys have anything that you'd like me to talk about, please feel free to leave that in the comment section or anything, and I'll try to address it if I can. And I'll also have some more fun things to share with you guys in the days to come. So thanks again so much for watching, and I'll see you guys all later. Bye-bye.